What's up, dude? If you've ever dropped some serious cash on a beautiful steak only to ruin it by either undercooking it or overcooking it, well then this technique is for you. Because it is hands down the most beginner-friendly and foolproof ways you could ever cook a steak, and it's easy. Now let's go! Before moving on to this technique, we're gonna make one of the best compound butters of all time using Calabrian chilies and a few other simple ingredients. So starting with one massive shallot or two medium ones, I'm gonna take that bottom off, cut it in half. From here, I'll take my little thumb and peel it up, and then I'm gonna slice it really thin this way. You wanna leave that root end intact here so it holds it all together. If you slice that off, this is gonna be a mess. All the way down, and then I'll do once through the middle, and then from here I'll just slice across into these tiny little squares, which is just gonna be perfect for our compound butter. And keep in mind, if your knife skills have a long way to go and you don't feel like these are small enough, just compress them down a little like that and just run a knife through them. They're not fresh herbs, right? They're not gonna bruise. You can absolutely do this. Just make sure your knife is somewhat sharp, and you can get them as small as you want like this as well. And here I have a pan on medium-low heat. I'm just gonna melt down a little bit of butter. And once that butter is melted, I'll drop in my shallots, little toss. And we want to keep that heat really low because we're just trying to sweat these out right now, meaning cook them with no color. We just want them a little translucent and soft. And after 8 minutes of sweating, you can see these have really broken down. They're a little bit translucent. They don't have any color. This is what we're after. Now, at this point, we're going to add in some minced garlic and continue cooking for about another 2 minutes, keeping that heat low. And now we go in with some of our Calabrian chilies. If you've never had Calabrian chilies, they're Italian. And for me, they just have the most amazing fruity flavor and just that right level of sort of medium spice. Awesome. Love them to death. There we are, my friends. As soon as those chilies are in, you can just kill the heat. Just get them out onto a plate like so. And then what you want to do is spread, make a few lines in there just to help airflow. You know, there's that thing where you can do where if I go fast enough, like none of it will spill. Should I try that? I shouldn't. Worked. And I like to just pop this in my freezer for about 10 minutes. I'm just trying to cool it down as quickly as possible. It's not gonna break your freezer. And while those chill, take a bundle of chives and roll them up in a damp paper towel to hold them together. And then I'm gonna take a nice sharp knife and just slice these as thin as I can across, just to get that nice fresh oniony flavor. And once that's cool, I'm just gonna add it to a whole bunch of unsalted butter. You could definitely use salted butter if you want. I just like controlling the seasoning myself, if that makes sense. We'll go in with our chives, squeeze a lemon. This next ingredient is optional, but I'm just doing a touch of Kashmiri chili powder. It's literally only for the color. It's really mild. It's not gonna flavor it much. And then of course our salt. I'm just using Maldon salt for this. Any kind of flaky sea salt or whatever you got will do. Kosher salt, whatever, I don't give a shit. Pink Himalayan salt, but that's a lamp, you're a lamp. And now my favorite part of this whole thing, mixing. Anything where colors combine, I like. Wow, the smell. I mean, look at that. The red chilies bleeding into that butter. That's exciting. Definitely want to give this a good 2 minutes or so of mixing, really get it together. Although seeing little speckles of white butter in the red chili is also kind of cool, so I might leave it a little unmixed purposefully. And here we are, nicely mixed. I'm gonna give it a little taste for seasoning. Ooh, dude, that is gonna be good on not just steak, but chicken, fish. Make a pasta, use pasta water, Parmesan cheese, and this butter to emulsify and make a pasta would be insane. Really, really good. Not too spicy, just medium, back of the throat. Taste is great, little bit of lemon, bam, pow. We need to come up with our own fucking emerald thing. Bah! Now to make this compound butter look nice and pro, it's actually really simple. Just a couple layers here of cling film, saran wrap, down she goes. And then all we're gonna do is just start laying down our butter in the middle. Something like this. Obviously, at this point, it really doesn't matter. You just don't want it all in one big clump. Let your cameraman lick the spoon. Go. And then all we're gonna do here is fold it over and just use our hands to form it into a rough log shape. Roll it all the way down. Then right here, all we need to do is pinch, twist a few times, and then I just keep the pressure right here and just roll it like a little bit up like this, and that just compresses it into this sort of perfect disc. Something like this looks good for me. Of course, you could go fatter, you could go skinnier. The choice is really up to you. And then I can just clip these little edges right here. Don't really need those anymore. Now we got a stogie, eh? And then all I'm gonna do is pop this in the fridge while we finish cooking our steak. It just needs to chill out in there. This will last for a long time. I don't know, at least 2 weeks probably you can use this. See you soon. And after about an hour in the fridge, I'll slice into my compound butter to just reveal that beautiful inside. There's always something really exciting about slicing into compound butter. It looks good. Now, my friends, before me, you see this incredibly sticky little T-bone stuck down pretty well there. And that is a very nice, expensive, delicious, marbled, juicy steak. And it would be an absolute shame to overcook this or screw it up in any way, which is why we're gonna reverse sear it. If you've never done this technique, it is literally the most foolproof way you could ever cook a steak. It's almost like you're sous videing it with dry heat. That's a good way of thinking about it. It's awesome. Let's do it. And so if you're not familiar with T-bone, it just has this one sort of T-shaped bone running right here, and we have New York strip on one side and filet on the other. And all I'm gonna do is ever so lightly oil this. It kind of just acts like a binder, which means the seasoning is gonna stick really good to it. And then I'm gonna hit it from up high with this rosemary salt. If you know, you know. And if you don't know, it's just a homemade herb and garlic seasoning we make on the channel that focuses on rosemary, sage, and garlic. I'll put a link to a video where I show you how to make this down in the description, but this is an absolute must, and especially for this time of year because it makes the holidays just taste like the holidays. I could not live without it. And keep in mind, when you're using this salt, it is salt. So don't use it like anything else but salt, right? A lot of people go too heavy when they first make this. Just look how I'm spreading it on. It's not too much. And some Sergeant Gilbert reporting for duty. And when it comes to the pepper for steaks, I like to go really finely ground, because if you use big, thick pieces of coarse pepper, essentially what you're doing is like lifting the steak off the pan. You lose your sear, you lose your contact, you lose your flavor, and you don't want that. And now when we go to the other side here, I'm just gonna dip up any kind of edges in the seasoning around, and then I'll just pepper that other side, little tappy tap, and that's all she wrote, my friends. Now, before moving on, you know when you're trying to cook the perfect steak or roast and you're basically just guessing how done it is? Yeah, well, this fixes that. Because our sponsor, Typhur, just dropped another amazing product, the Typhur Sync Oven. And it's the first countertop oven that comes with a built-in wireless meat thermometer, no wires, no setup, no pairing, it just straight up works. And the oven actually tracks your food's core temperature in real time and then shuts off automatically when it hits the perfect doneness. Which basically means this oven can save you from ever undercooking or overcooking meat ever again. And as for the thermometer, it has 5 internal sensors for the best accuracy. You just pick your protein, beef, pork, chicken, fish, lamb, and how you like it done, from rare to well done. If that's your thing, I won't judge. It also cooks much faster than a regular oven. Like if you throw a chicken in that thing, it will cook about 30% faster than a big oven. It's also a family size unit, so if you want, you could put a 12-inch pizza in there. You could even do a whole like 6-pound chicken with a bunch of vegetables on the side, so like a 1 sheet pan dinner, it would fit. And it's also incredibly versatile because you've got 12 cooking modes: air fry, roast, bake, toast, broil, pizza, dehydrate, you name it, all in one sleek oven. And it even comes with some built-in recipes if you need some inspiration. To boil it all down, this thing basically does all the hard work for you while you take all the credit. It's a win-win. You can check out the new Typhur Sync Oven by clicking the link down in the description underneath this video and use code SUNNYNEW10 for 10% off your order. Thank you, Typhur, for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to the recipe. To cook the T-bone steak in the Typhur Sync Oven, all I had to do was pull off the probe thermometer that's nicely magnetized to the top of the oven. I love that feature. And as soon as you pull it out of its casing, it's gonna bring up a menu where you can choose different presets or do a manual setting for whatever kind of protein you're cooking. I went for manual and set the target temp to about 122 degrees Fahrenheit because I'm gonna finish this in a pan with a little basting, so I didn't go any extra like 125 or more. Then I just set the temperature of my oven to 225 degrees Fahrenheit and let it roll. And I like to insert that probe thermometer through here and really close to the middle. This section here basically is what I'm shooting for. So I go in and then pull back just a little bit. That looks good. Bon voyage, my friend. And now all you gotta do is wait and admire your steak. Depending on the thickness, it can take anywhere from 20 minutes all the way up to an hour or more if you're doing a big piece of meat. And once it's hit its target temp, all you gotta do is pull it out. And to be quite honest with you, I thought this was gonna take so much longer. It only took 24 minutes to get up to that temp. You could definitely take it further to like 125 or beyond, but because I wanna give it such an aggressive sear, I'm just edging on that lower side so I don't have to worry about overcooking my beautiful steak. And now to finish this reverse sear method, it's actually incredibly easy. I just need to get a really hot pan. I'll leave that on high heat for about 2.5 to 3 minutes, and we'll just give it a quick and it'll basically be done. We're not even gonna baste because we have that incredible compound butter that we're gonna drown it in afterwards, so we're good there. And I'm just using a little bit of avocado oil for this. You could use any other high smoke point neutral oil like grapeseed or canola or whatever. And right before searing, I'm actually just gonna dry that steak up. Sometimes you'll just get a little bit of those juices coming out at this stage because it's about rare in there, and that's when that happens. So dab it up, and then I'm gonna drop that fat cap down first, render it out a little bit. You can even put that in the corner of the pan and tilt back. Really concentrate all the oil there. And once it's nice and golden, we'll just go ahead and drop our steak down. Just put a little pressure on that, make sure it's getting some good contact. Just about 90 seconds. Go ahead and give it a flip. Got a really nice sear on that New York strip part right there. Sometimes it's hard to get a good sear on a T-bone because the meat shrinks, but that bone doesn't, right? So it sort of lifts the meat off the pan. But this is decent, honestly. 90 on the other side, we can go ahead and get this baby out and let it rest. And after a 5-minute rest, our steak is ready to plate. And now we'll top with some of our insane compound butter. And I'm just gonna use a torch to melt this butter, but if you don't have one, you can definitely just throw it on the broiler. And there we have it, my friends, simple as that. Let's give this a taste with Marcus. Now, before we take a bite, Marcus, do you know the main difference between a porterhouse and a T-bone steak?
Yeah, porterhouse is the thicker filet and the T-bone is for poor people.
Basically. The porterhouse is from the thicker side of the filet, so it's got more filet and thicker filet, and T-bones are just towards that tail end, so there's less filet. I'm gonna try some filet first. It's really hard not to overcook the filet when you make a T-bone or porterhouse, but dude, you know what? It's not bad. Wow. The butter melted and like formed this little pool on top of the steak, and so I can just dip into that little like puddle.
Dude, the Calabrian chili compound butter is so tangy and so f***ing good.
It's so good. My favorite compound butter we've ever made, for sure.
Wow. It is great.
I'll put a link to like some Calabrian chilies on Amazon. They're kind of hard to find, so I usually buy them on the internet, but man, yeah, that's just like a very mild to medium back of the throat spicy.
I'd eat an Adidas flip-flop covered in that butter.
Definitely make it. To demonstrate this on another cut, we're really gonna try to hit that sweet spot of filet mignon. And for me, that's between rare and medium rare. I've done tons of tests on this. And when you get that right on a filet, it literally just melts in your mouth. Trust me, not medium rare, a little bit under. I think we need those between temperatures. We need a new guy. And just like the T-bone, I'm gonna follow the exact same process for the tenderloin. So just lightly oil, salt and pepper, you know the deal. And because I'm gonna lower the temperature on this, I'm gonna go like for 118, 120, somewhere in that range. And the oven temp is exactly the same, so 225 Fahrenheit. And once they hit their target temperature, I pulled them out, fired up that same pan, you know the deal, nice and hot, a little bit of neutral oil. I seared them off for about 90 seconds on each side, and then also rolled all those edges for about 30 seconds. And after one more final 4 to 5 minute rest, it was time to plate these up, hit them with the compound butter, hit them with the fire, and give it a taste with Marquise. And look, man, as we melted that butter and it literally bled out and just became the sauce, it's a comical amount of butter, but I think that's what makes this special.
It's like a painting.
It looks really cool. And as you can see, my friends, there it is in the middle. It just feels so freaking tender and all the butter is just dripping into the meat. Oh my God. If I went to like an expensive ass restaurant and paid like, I don't know, $50, $60, $70 for this, I wouldn't be mad at all. This is so good.
It's the king for a reason, my friends.
The filet is so freaking tender. I got no words. And then the butter is just insane. That's so good. It's so good. Definitely make it. Well, thanks for watching today, my friend. And if you're not aware, I do have an ebook I'll keep linked down in the description that has 55 of my personal favorite recipes called Master in the Making. You are the master in the making. Really proud of that book. Really proud of every single recipe in there. On another note, if you're the one who's cooking the turkey this year for Thanksgiving, definitely watch my turkey video here. I can show you how to do it for the most tender and juicy and most importantly, fast results. And on the other side here, I have a really great prime rib recipe tutorial if you're gonna make one of those. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. You know I love you and I'm out.